I tried to reach out to Cyril Busby a couple of times. I don't think y'all have ever met him. He was appointed at the same meeting as me. We will feedback. Yeah, she's all. Okay. Oh, stick around.
Osbo is here.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, sir.
Hey guys, Rich McHenrick from Blythe Woods on the line.
Hey, Rich, thanks for joining us. Sorry, y'all, we've got a bit of an echo we're working through on our end. I'm not sure if y'all can hear it too. Is it, Chris, you hear it over there? Oh, okay.
Someone's got the live stream up.
Does anyone have the live stream open on YouTube on their computer?
Yeah, that would be a delay, wouldn't it?
It's it's not open on this machine, right? Like in Google Chrome there.
And see, usually it would be.
That's exactly where it is.
See, it's not in it's not in.
Just go away.
Oh, now it's not.
Okay, y'all. We found the echo.
Live version, huh?
Absolutely.
Cloud version.
Very good. It was on our end the whole time. And so I appreciate everyone joining us. I'm just going back over the participants to see if we've got a quorum. It does look like we're a little bit short right now. We'll see if anyone else is able to join us. We're just a couple short of that quorum, but thank you all for joining us for October's Transportation Penny Advisory Committee meeting. I appreciate everyone being here. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Any public comment that y'all have received or anyone like that? I don't see anyone else in the room, so we'll move on to item 3, approval of the minutes. Again, we are still short a quorum right this second, so we'll go ahead and skip that item as well and move into the Office of Small Business Opportunities. Ms. Rosenthal.
Thank you. I'm having problems with this camera, so please forgive me. So I'd like to start on page number 6 with contract participation. Those are where the changes are starting for us. And so for our certified payments for SLBEs, we had 42,574,792 for our certified SLBEs. And then we have 195,549,771 for uncertified firms, for a total amount of payments for 200,038,124,763 as written on page 6 at the very bottom on the October 11th date. Now I'd like to move to page 7. There were no goals that were set during this time period. So I'd like to talk about the total certified SLBEs at the bottom of page 7, the last table by industry. For our architecture and engineering services, we have 8. For construction services, we have 37 certified SLBEs. Non-professional services, we have 10. Professional services, we have 53. And for wholesale certified SLBE, we have 9 for a total of 117 certified SLBEs. And I'd also like to add that for our certified firms, we have 4 pending certifications that are new. We have 9 renewals, and you won't see this in the packet, which is why I'm telling you what it is right now. And then we have a total of 117 certified SLBEs on our directory and that are ready to be utilized. And we set goals aside throughout the county for our certified SLBEs. And that concludes my portion. Are there any questions for me?
I noticed something new in the packet this month, your certification and compliance report. I think this is great, and I love that y'all are following up on this and making sure it's not just paperwork that's being put in action. Is this something we're going to see more of in your reports moving forward?
Yes, sir, it will be.
Very good. Any other questions or comments for OSBO from our appointees or others on the line? All right, Michelle, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, with that, we'll move on to page 11 of our agenda packet to pick up with the comment. Before we get started, Jackie, our condolences on the passing of Mr. Huggins. Really untimely and unfortunate circumstances there. The comment.
Thank you. Thank
Y'all
you
are
so
able
much.
to work through it. Absolutely.
Yes,
But with
thank
that,
you.
I'll turn it over to you for y'all's report.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'll actually start my report on page 12 for the Lucius Road Superstop update. So that project is now 70% completed physically and 47% completed financially. The shelters were supposed to have been installed by the 15th of this month, but that's going to be delayed until November 15th. There was some conflicts with the concrete company as far as scheduling, so that's why there's a delay in that project. And also, one of our board members said she wants to see some trees on that property because it's going to be a lot of asphalt and concrete, and it's going to be hot over there. She said, y'all, please put some landscaping, some trees and shrubbery over there. So I had to contact the city to have a water meter installed for irrigation. So that's been done, and hopefully that won't take long for the installation of that meter. Next, we'll go to the bus stop shelters and benches, the summary sheet. So as of now, the approved sites, there are one shelter that's been approved for Broad River Road and Shivers, the northbound direction, and one bench for Hartscrabble Road and Bush Road. And the sites currently under permit review, there's one shelter at Pendleton Street and Barnwell. And there's one bench at Reed Street and Oak. And there are 4 shelters and 21 benches in design. That was on page 13. So moving on to page 14, we'll go to the ridership. So for September, the total ridership was 170,842. And for the same time last year was 158,796. That's with a 7.3% increase. Okay, and then page 15 and 16 are our financial reports. If you have any questions, I'm available. That's it.
This is in the chat.
Jackie,
Uh-huh.
it's Chris Kiefer. I'm new to the TPAC. The increase in ridership, is that, do y'all have any insights as to what's driving that?
I'm sure probably most of that are the USC home games.
Okay.
Yeah, we transport about 6,000 passengers per game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that we get a lot of ridership for that.
Good.
Mhm.
And then are y'all, it was a couple years ago, I got a chance to use the service. Are you offering a shuttle service for the fair or this year?
No, we used to do that years ago. We had and that was something that the fair requested.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have not requested that in quite a few years.
Yeah, I can imagine it was probably because of the fewer people going because of COVID and everything. So maybe we'll bounce back in another year or two. So, all right, thank you.
Right, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'd imagine they're seeing some of the crowds now that they may want to have that service again. Some of the lines I saw on social media over the weekend looked pretty rough out there. So I can only imagine trying to park that many people. And so with those USC home games, those are considered outside the U of SC service. I'm looking at your charts on page 14 of the agenda packet, where it looks like ridership is actually down for U of SC year over year, but up on the corridor and local services. Yeah,
it was down a little bit, but it seems like each game it gets more and more for the USC.
And I'm glad to hear that the super stock is coming along well. Definitely think that trees will be a great addition. I'm glad that your board member thought of that
Yeah.
and is working to implement it. And I imagine they have to be pretty tall to be able to park a bus underneath them, but
Yeah,
Sure,
there's
y'all-
actually some grass over there now, so.
it's been sitting around long enough, huh? That's
Yeah, I
great.
was asking the question, I said, why did y'all plant grass so early? They said, well, we have to plant the grass to keep the soil in place. I said, oh, okay, I learned something. But they have to redo it anyway to plant some more grass.
Right, that erosion and sediment control is very important. So,
Yes.
I noticed in the report, we didn't include the full list of shelters and benches and amenities. Is that something we can add back in? I appreciate having that.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that's
was
from
it was
Mason
the
Floyd.
same as last month. I think that's why Rosalind took it out because it was the same as last month, but I'll make sure she puts it back in there.
Hey, very good. That'd be great. And then my question that I'm always excited to hear about any progress is on the electric and hydrogen buses and whether we're able to implement the use of those and utilize that grant funding to get those rolling.
Yes, actually, they were on site. They some of the team members of that project came to our last board meeting and did a presentation. And while they were here, they actually got on some of our buses to sample some routes to see which routes would be the best ones to put those buses on. So they did the sampling while they were here to prepare for the arrival of those buses.
And so is there a tentative date on the calendar to say we'll be ready to let them roll at the beginning of the year or next week?
Well, actually, no, the buses are not expected to arrive until like next year.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
One of
like
those
next year.
backlog things where we're working through it, and
Right, right.
then we'll have
and-
everything in place, ready to go once it does show up.
Right, and of course, with everything else, as far as being increasing in price, so we were informed that there was a 21% increase in the sale of those buses. So the prices of the buses did go up.
Ms. Bowers, who will be purchasing the buses from?
New Flyer.
Where are they located?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it's Alabama or somewhere like that.
Okay.
But we presently have New Flyer buses. So these are 4 buses that we order are also through New Flyer.
I'm surprised they've got electric and hydrogen capacity from the same company.
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Hopefully provide y'all a little continuity, so you got one service organization and all that sort of stuff too, so that's all good.
Yeah. Yes. Mhm.
Y'all, well, we're about to move past the comment and on to the transportation programs, or anything y'all have for.
I'm not sure anything been mentioned, but I know that, I want to offer my condolences to the employees of the comment for loss of Mr. Hudgens, and he and I served on TPAC here when I first came here. He was a vice chair, he was an outstanding individual, so sorry for the loss of him.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you, Ms. Bowers. We appreciate it very much, and we'll look forward to talking to you next month.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, y'all, with Mr. Anderson and Ms. Patman joining us here, thank y'all very much for being up here, Richmond County, hang out with us a little bit, but we now have a quorum. So this meeting is official. We're going to record minutes, but we also have the opportunity to approve minutes from our last meeting. So I want to jump back up to item 2 on our agenda and accept motions to approve those minutes from our last meeting.
So make a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Thank you. Second? Second, thank you very much. All in favor of accepting the previous meeting's minutes as written and distributed last week, say aye, raise a hand, give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
All right, very good. It's unanimous. It's official, y'all. We'll record some documentation of our meetings other than our YouTube footprint here. So this is great. Very good. Well, just checking our agenda. That'll bring us down to, I guess, item 5 or 6, and Mr. Maloney, our transportation penny update. Turn it over to you.
All right, sir, thank you. For general information, an update to that is one of our project managers, Kim Tony, has been with the Penny for a number of years, has taken a job closer to home. She's going to continue with us part-time, focus on the completion of the Main Street Monticello intersection and conduct other project closeouts that we have. So appreciate that we can keep her on for those things too. For the committee council approvals, council approval of all these items occurred. Bull and Elmwood intersection project award of construction, the dirt road package N award of construction, resurfacing S, and a mitigation bank credit transaction, wetland sales and stream bank sales for credits. Went to 4 different entities, including one was SCDOT. The other 3 were different development concerns around the county. So one of the more sizable transactions that brings money back into the Penny.
Very good. Are we anticipating anything from ad hoc in October?
No, we did have a recent bid opening that just happened with resurfacing package T. And so that likely will be a November meeting. We do have another wetland credit sale that came in, and we'll likely be putting together some briefings on Penny projects completed and Penny projects to complete. For our pre-construction update, we have Alpine Road sidewalk, and we have a few things to clear up with that one to get ready for our approval from DOT for construction. And delay in getting back utility no conflict letters from or approving those items, which are utility relocations, right away, are things that we have to clear to the projects to get to construction. So that's very close. Atlas Road widening is similar in that it's very close to construction. There's we have received the preliminary plan comments for SCDOT and CSX, and we have just a water line we're working on with the city right now as far as an agreement, whether we would be in the roadway with their utility for just a couple of properties or have to purchase some additional. So we have an upcoming meeting with city staff on that. Bluff Road widening phase 2. We'll be submitting our updated cost estimate and preliminary plans on that to SCDOT very soon. The Blythewood widening project is one of the projects we're preparing to move to construction. It will be coming off the pre-construction update, and we have moved that over to our procurement staff. So Blythewood widening will be probably the first widening project of that size that we've had go to construction in my 1-year tenure. Blythewood area improvements, we're working out some details there. That is on the easterly side of I-77, where we have McNulty, getting some improvements with sidewalks, and also DOT wants a curve change to get 2 WB 68s or 72s, but 2 semis passing each other going in both directions through an area where currently only semis go in one direction. And so we've got something worked out where we saw a lot of rounding there, and that is a large parking area that the semis use right now. And of course, you got a Carolina Wings there, and we don't want to change too much there. So one of the concerns I see is with a property on the north side of McNulty, where there's a lot of access points to a property, but we'd like to meet with the town and those businesses about maybe making something where if you put sidewalk in, it isn't gonna hit a driveway apron every, 30 feet. So we'll see how that works out, because that may be the primary sidewalk in that one area to limit the encroachments on the Carolina Wings area in that trucking fueling area. And then the second part to that project is the extension of Creech Road, which would continue away from McNulty. You can go south across the main Lakewood Road and head on out to Main Street. So that project is probably closer to bid than McNulty at this point. So the question is, would we put that out separately? And we're considering that with the town. Broad River Corridor, NIP. We're at 95% on the preliminaries, and then we started the right-of-way plans at 39%. The right-of-way plans were submitted for review in late August, so it's usually about a 6-week turnaround with DOT when we make a submittal. Unless, and that could start a little bit of a back and forth on certain details. But that one is getting very close. Broad River Corridor, so we're south of I-20. And the DOT closest to 20 has a safety project going in for a few blocks. And then we pick up, head around the bend where Bush River Road comes in, and we go on up by Greystone. And that's mostly the focus of where our project is. But we are coordinating with DOT on their safety projects, so we're working together. Broad River Road widening, we're at 30%. Those were submitted, our preliminary plans for comment. And then we're underway on our right-of-way plans. We're working out a request to leave a 54-inch water main under what will be the kind of the northbound driving lane on the right side. And we have hired Michael Baker, a large utility design company, to provide alternatives. And so we look at those as far as cost. They can protect that water main with a concrete slab that's reinforced for $100,000 and some thousand, or for $1 million and $100,000 and some thousand, we could move that water main. So and potentially take the north half of the county's water down. So
That's just design fee.
Yeah, we're
Actual
just
construction
just
expense also,
hoping to get that variance to keep that water main in place. And it's not really a water main, it's like a water transmission line. Bull and Elmwood, that's on this list, but it's got to move up because it's moving to construction. Sierra Jackson was officially notified of the award, and they're preparing their schedule, but their start date will be in January for that project. That project will have considerable amounts of nighttime construction due to the busyness of that intersection. And so when we get to the major points of it with repaving the whole area, that'll be nighttime construction. Crane Creek neighborhood improvement plan, we're continuing on phases 2 and 3, which we list all the roads that get sidewalk in those 2 phases. And that's still in design development. Design continues on the Crane Creek Greenway. And in that one, we had talked more about that, and I showed some displays of that last month, but we continue, and we did make contact with the executive director of Palmetto Trail. So they're looking at setting up a trail that would get you way up, kind of like the new power plant up there, way up,
Peak.
way up.
Yeah.
And down through the city, and kind of keep that going down all the way to say the ocean. So we just have that little piece in there, but it's great to have a group to work together with to create a connected bike trail. Dirt road paving, here's 3 and 4. We also have another paragraph on dirt roads. We found more dirt roads that we want to go back to, those that were previously. We're finding there's maybe a dozen roads that did get through the consent denial process. And we had 10 or 12 in that packet that went through that, and may have been overlooked because of other right-of-way issues. So by coming back to evaluate that with the neighborhood there and talking about right-of-way acquisition with them as far as getting the road paved, they may want it now, more than before.
Maybe some new neighbors or
Yeah.
evolution of thought and mindset
Yes,
there.
it sometimes does happen, so we want to go back and see what we can get done.
Director Maloney,
Yes, ma'am.
with those 34 unpaved roads, could those roads be shared with the committee? For just to,
Yes, we can get you that for, we're gonna be taking kind of my markups here and getting those out, so they're viewable. Is that on a webpage, Kelly, that we can get them after the meeting?
Yeah, well, I can send it out again
Okay,
and then post it online.
all right, we'll add that as a note to put the evaluation roads in there.
okay, thank you.
You bet. Decker Woodfield, we just need that maintenance agreement with Richland County Rec Commission. We did make contact with them and they gave it, I think they reached out to their legal counsel for the comments that came from Richland County. So there was a little bit of a pause in there with the director. Garner's Ferry Harmon is another one that comes off this list, is in construction. And so we'll be moving that over. Cherokee's working on the grading and utility work. Gills Creek Greenway. This one is at 60% right of way plans, and we are communicating with Midlands Tech to create a spur off of the path that would provide connectivity to their parking lot. We have an agreement with the city on the path, and it looks like it'll be a good project in development and completed. It's going to be a 12-foot wide boardwalk in a lot of these areas. So we're happy to get to that point where with agreement.
What is that looking like now with the agreement with the city? And do you have termini kind of in mind and all that?
The termination at the north end is Fort Jackson Boulevard. There's a little street in there, it's escaping me, that they have.
Beecliff or
Oh,
is the one that goes in front of like the sub shop and everything
yeah,
across
right.
the
Yeah,
waterfront,
and there's
across
a waterway is right there alongside it. There's been some new stormwater outfalls put in that look like they'd be in the way of a trail, or you wouldn't want to impact them with the trail. So in that one, the city's looking at a kind of, they call it a road diet, where just where do we need the vehicles, and then could we use one side for the trail? And so they're working that out.
There's a significant amount of bus infrastructure there too, right? Is that Carlson Road?
Yeah, that's essentially Garner's Ferry coming in just past right there.
Okay, so behind the Applebee's and the Smash Burger and Moe's and all that,
Yeah,
where the sub shop used to be,
Yeah.
where it got washed away. And then I think that, yeah, I see the comment here on the map has 2 buses parked out there where it looks like they've got some parking and everything. But yeah, I do see a turn lane in it as well. That seems
yeah.
a
So
little
there's a
superfluous.
very small corner business. It's not there now. And then across the street is the new car wash. There were some plans to go down along the water next to the car wash, and it's so tight in there. And then there was talk of a staircase to get up, and it just didn't seem to make sense. So we were looking at the other side of the car wash where there's an open grass terrace. We would have to go through acquisition on that, and then making a hard left bend at the back of the car wash to get out to the creek. And at that point, you kind of come off what I call a ledge of elevated ground, and we convert to a boardwalk, and we kind of take this dive down to get under the bridge of Rosewood. And before we take that dive completely down, that's where a spur would go off towards the technical college parking lot, should they want that. And then so when we go under the bridge, we'll be like a foot off the ground with the boardwalk. At that area, and the waterways to the left of that still considerably, but then you kind of rise back up and continue on down to McCall Street.
Sounds great. Like, glad y'all were able to work through that with the city and come up with something that's, it sounds like it's gonna really have an impact.
Yes, sir. And that brings it back to the original referendum project locations. Lower Richland Boulevard widening. So that's under, I would say preliminary plan review. And then of course, our Lower Richland Boulevard widening has a roundabout that occurs at Rabbit Run. And then it's 3 lanes down to the sheriff's substation and 5 lanes from the substation to the intersection with Garner's Ferry Road. That is still under design. We're talking about in December of this year, having a public information meeting on that. And that will likely
Director
occur
Maloney,
at that location.
is that Lower Richland Boulevard widening, is that in that intersection where there's Pine View Road? It intersects there? And I'm trying to think of the other side of Lower Richland Boulevard widening.
Yeah, I think it's still Lower Richland on the other side.
Yeah.
It's in that Pine View section there? Because I know that's a backup. It's like really long lines when during the
Yeah,
morning going, leaving and going out into from work. It's just bottleneck. And that's why I was wondering exactly where, if that's the section of where that's going to be handled. This widening is between.
this
Lower
widening
Richland-
is right at the Lower Richland High School.
Rabbit runs.
Oh, down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
further out.
Further
yeah.
down. Got it. Okay.
So 5 lanes from Garner's Ferry at the high school to the back of the high school where there's a sheriff's annex or substation. And then it goes to 3 lanes to Rabbit Run, and at Rabbit Run, we'll be installing a roundabout.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Um, Yeah, and I don't know that it's on here, but we also have a sidewalk project, which is part of the CERN NIP. There was additional funds available in the referendum amount, and so we took those funds. There's enough there, and council approved extending a sidewalk from what I just mentioned. It's actually the connector beyond the roundabout, the new road that got put in by the Penny, and taking that from Lower Richland Connector all the way up to Trotter along one side of Rabbit Run. Nature Trail paving, anything new there?
I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
Nature Trail,
Right.
I don't know why we broke it out. We'll probably be cleaning that up, but it's
Okay.
just, it is a dirt road paving project.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, so anywhere there's a nature trail somewhere, there was a dirt path, and you were gonna run a 12-foot path along it. Gotcha.
I had somebody bring that up. So you're gonna pave the nature trail? Just happens to be a dirt road called Nature Trail.
Gotcha, okay.
Percival Road sidewalk. Busy area there. Been out there to look at that and evaluate it. The preliminary construction plans went in for comments, so we're waiting for those to come back. There's some steep slopes there, so we'll have some fill sections for the sidewalk to extend the width of the road. Where those slopes are, there's guardrails. We're on that. You say northerly side of the road. Fort Jackson being the other side. Pine View widening, not a lot new there. We're just going through the design process. Polo Road widening, we did get our comments back from DOT on that to begin addressing the preliminary plans.
Director Maloney, Sorry
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
interruption, but that's where, I knew I saw Pine View somewhere, and so that's it. That's the section there for the Pine View widening. Is that the Pine View and Garner's Ferry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's there, it goes from there out to Bluff Road.
That's it. Okay, all right. Thank you.
One question about that, 'cause I think years ago when they talked about that, I thought they took that off the table because they were not extend Shop Road down to Trotter. I thought those were planned some years ago.
Don't they? Yes, sir, I can check into that, but this one, they had this one in the de-scoping, and so this may be, the de-scope version of it. I can get you that, but it's a 3-lane widening of Pine View. And then some of the, we call them twiddles, 2-way left turns. Some of those are, become the left turn lanes, but at the intersections, but it's 3-lane from 2-lane. And then move on to resurfacing package S, that's at construction. Resurfacing package T is just had a bid opening. And so that's going to our next ad hoc meeting in November. And then Screaming Eagle Percival intersections in construction. They should be beginning work now. And those 3 are off the design list. Shop Road widening was one of the projects that was rescoped. It's going to be a 5-lane road. This is the widening section, existing Shop Road. From the back of the stadium all the way out to the interstate. It's going to have 5-foot sidewalks on each side as well. So we submitted a cross section, and DOT prefers to have sidewalk. They do see the matted grass that people use, so they can get it there, and they also would like the sidewalks connected, so with curb and gutter and sidewalk then 5 feet out, any signs that they have will be moved outwards, and they don't think they'll have the parking issues, so a lot of the no parking signs could be removed once that project is in place. Well, that's in design development at the preliminary stage. And I mentioned CERN. Phase 2 is what we're calling that sidewalk I mentioned. Lower Richland connector over to Trotter. So it looks like in meeting and talking to Rashid Mawako, our project manager for Smith Rocky Branch Greenway. He just got out the Bow and Elmwood intersection. I said, what do you got coming next? So he thinks this one here, Smith Rocky Branch Greenway. So I see he's got down that the OET is continuing to address the city's comments and proceed to the 90% plan. So that's a good thing. And that being a Greenway project won't be going through the same process with like an SCDOT review at the end. So it's getting very close. Spears Creek Church Road. It was good to see that we got right-of-way plans that were completed on this and submitted on October 7th. So we want to keep that project moving. And that was one of the projects that brought up re-scoping. It came back by itself originally, and we reviewed all the D-scopes, and this one had already been rescoped. So that this project has a 3-lane from Two Notch Road down to kind of about 2/3 down the road. There's a development on this on the westerly side of the road, and it'll be 5-lane from that point into I-20. Very close on Sunset Drive sidewalk. Our plans were submitted on September 26th, and that's final construction plan, so.
I'm sorry, on Pierce Creek Road, would it also include like a expansion of the bridge as well?
Over 20?
Over 20.
No, sir. That unfortunately will, the extra lanes will get kind of taken down into, you're gonna go off on the interstate or neck down to merge into
Yeah.
lane there.
So I
So,
think it's only 2 lanes there,
yes,
for the
sir.
bridge and 20.
Yes, sir. And DOT is aware of it. We were kind of checking to see if there was any program studies going on of all the bridges in Richland County or, in the Midlands, and currently at this time, I don't believe so.
Yeah, if there's ever a time to get some money for expanding a bridge, yeah.
See, Trenton Newcastle is still in design development. Nothing new there other than we reported in the past, we found some need to get sidewalk all the way to Park Lane. It appeared that had been cut in the past, and we're looking at, we put some sidewalk back to get all the way to Park Lane into the neighborhood, so there'd be a connectivity to get out to commercial district from the neighborhoods. Dirt road evaluation, like I said, we had that paragraph in earlier. This was an earlier evaluation that had looked at pretty much years 1 and 2 dirt roads and going back to those and evaluating them. And so we do have that list, and that's what our list is currently being built on when we put these out. And so that gets us to construction. So dirt road package K, is next month. We won't see that on this list. It's substantially complete. Dirt road package L, as its final walkthrough this month. So I anticipate that'll be off the construction list. Dirt road package M, right now, they've paved Bowstring Road. Tall Oaks Road has got its base course on it, and Maggie Hip will be paved in October. Sorry, construction will start in October, so kind of had when you bid them out as a group, depending on the contractor and their abilities, can you do all of them at once? This one was more in series. Dirt road package N, council awarded that to McClam, and they'll start over the next few weeks to get started on this. The first project to be Cornell Adams Run on that one, shortly followed up with Belinga and Summer Haven Drive. Innovista, oh, and by the way, when you look at our finances on the back, we're a little over about halfway on our referendum budget of 45 million for dirt road paving. Innovista Phase 2, which is Green Street through the campus and area. It's 90% complete, but it's really 98% complete. That's an update of adding into that. The shade structure installation is ongoing with the structures. They'll have the screening to put on after that, which I can't wait to see. And because it took a while to get here. The county is coordinating with the 2 railroads and hold a meeting with the city and the railroads coming up in the next week or so to plan that. We think the shade structure will be done in late November. So there's a little bit of work to do on the railroad closures at Devine and Gadsden. The railroad indicated by agreement they will be removing the roadway through their crossing in agreement to open Green Street. So when we have that done, we'll bring our contractor to do the finer points on those 2 streets that are part of the contract. North Main Street has resumed with Monticello, and they had went in about 2 weeks ago and saw cut the concrete to be able to lift out slabs of concrete that are cracked, and the reason for that removal before we could pave, if we would have just paved what was there, we would have had cracks in the pavement within a year or two. So we're taking that underlying cracked concrete out. Like I say, they cut them in half to make them more manageable so they could work by closing one lane at a time and keep it open to traffic. They get the slabs out, they'll be putting asphaltic base back in place of that and repaving. So before they could remove the concrete, they want to clear it by milling it off clean. And so they've been doing that now. They'll be done with that very shortly. That was about a week's worth of work. Resurfacing package are almost done. They did the final walkthrough and they're going through the punch list of efficiencies with the contractor. So that's going to be probably off our list very soon too. And S&T will be coming on our list. Resurfacing, Dr. Ali is out there and has been moving those along. S&T are very large projects and will be been moving it very successfully so that we're almost at our referendum amount on those. Three Rivers Greenway Phase 1B is essentially done, but as far as the railroad, they want us to put a fence in, so I'm getting a date on that. When is that going to be in? And then Phase 1B would be complete. So as you may know, there's a Phase 2. The Penny is contributing funds for Phase 2, which includes the bridge over Broad River by others, and we're just contributing to the construction of a trail to get to that bridge. So our open solicitations are now Blythewood Road, so I'll be updating that. Blythewood Road widening. And then we'll have Alpine Road, Percival Road, Sunset Drive sidewalk, Atlas Road, Phase 1, and of course Blythewood widening is now moving up to that. And then we just have attachments of S&T so you can see what roads we're resurfacing. And then they have their council districts on them. And our financial statement is has all our completed projects in green, and some canceled projects or projects where they took parts of the project to make one bigger project on the greenways are in orange. So it makes it a little better so we can create a list of projects to complete and really spell out projects like what are the sidewalk projects, what are the neighborhood improvement projects remaining. So we've got that list. After we get that through ad hoc, we'll start to make that a public list.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for the report. Let's open it up to questions. Anyone on the line have any questions for Mr. Maloney? How about y'all? Anything else that we haven't covered or discussed so far? With the Lower Richland widening, so you've got a public meeting coming up in December. We'd love to be notified about that. Also, we want to be very sure to get that posted on the webpage and everything for TPAC too, to make sure once we have a date for that, we've got that up there. That'd be really helpful. Shop Road widening. I thought that we were along the path's design, and then we realized that the DOT's utilities were undersized, and so we needed to back up to reevaluate to see how we can incorporate, I guess, some redesign around those. Now, are we going to procure additional consulting services to help them design their stormwater utilities, or is that just for the roadway itself that we're working on? Is there any opportunity for cost sharing there?
Well, we're going to continue to work on what we need for the road. And I know there was we had mentioned that in the past, that it looked like it was more of a cross through pipe that was inadequate for taking on drainage, and at times the road floods because of that. So we'll be putting in what we need to put in to make sure the road that we're putting in doesn't flood, but there might be some major components that we would approach them on. But we're not quite there yet as far as spelling that out.
Gotcha. So we're recognizing those things and seeing those scope creep and trying to stay away from them as much as DOT handlers.
as much as we can.
Much as we can, absolutely.
Yeah.
Guess the on the good side still, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, I was also curious with Innovista. I heard some rumblings that the city didn't want to close Divine and the other road they were going to. Y'all heard anything about that? Is there any progress in those negotiations? Acting like a team on this one?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say we're not acting like a team. I think we are. We're just a situation where, yeah, I think there was a preference to keep Divine open. I don't think Gadsden so much. There were some safety issues I could see from not even visiting it, just from the air with, the 4-rail crossing at Gadsden. That could be an issue. And then when you look at the properties it serves, it's a cut through, but nobody was really aligned to be served on that street.
Sure.
Or an entrance.
Was the fire department concerned about being served, I guess?
Well,
Since they're, I think they've got a station back there behind like off Olympia or somewhere back in that area.
yeah, I don't think so. So the big one was,
Fine Street.
yeah, dealing with Divine Street, and it's between Blossom and Green Street, and it's a pretty minor crossing, but it's there was some concerns with Green Street being able to be the entrance to continue north to deal with sporting events, and that they'd actually want to close Green Street for that. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think it is Gadsden Street that comes over there as being the first street south of well, just north of the railroad crossing. And if they could keep it open to that, I mean,
Right.
it would be fine, but I understand they probably want to block some areas off because of the amount of pedestrians that would be coming in and out. As far as there is some resurfacing or bridge work to do on Blossom, or a new bridge,
Right, Brandon Bridge.
and
Yeah.
keeping it open for that. That was what I think they asked the railroad for, so.
That would make a lot of sense, especially because I think that Blossom Street Bridge widening is supposed to include pedestrian accommodations, which currently are not there. There's part of my concern that I brought up before about shutting down Divine Street without having Green Street open yet. Make sure that order is flowing properly, but that would make a lot of sense if we get the railroad on board. That's the trouble.
Yeah, so far I don't think they're on board.
We'll keep asking about it. Let's see if there's anything else I had in my notes. I think that was all I had. Very good, y'all. Well,
Okay, so I have a question, Director Maloney, and we talked about it a little bit, we hit on it, some under the special projects for neighborhood improvement projects and funds that are dedicated or allocated to that project. And you did a great job of speaking a little bit about what was entailed, I believe, under the neighborhood improvement project. Is speed bumps or humps considered? Can some of those funding of these funding be used? And is that speed humps part of the neighborhood improvement project?
I'd have to look at that. I'm not aware of those being in the plan, as far as like a common thing to do is if you have a pedestrian crossing, to put a speed table in, so the top of it is actually the crossing, and it slows people down to come to that crossing, and it elevates the pedestrians so they can easily be seen. And it also acts as a constrainer on speed. You can design those speed tables to be 20 miles an hour, 25, 15 mile an hour, depending on how extreme you make the slopes. So I'll have to look at that. That's a lookup for Mr. Maloney, but I don't believe I saw that on the plans. The idea of just having, speed humps in the unincorporated Richland would be a public works request. And even then, a lot of times they're not incorporating pedestrian crossings in those. They possibly could, depending on where we put them. So, but I'll look that up as a to-do and report back on the 5 remaining NIP projects. there's 2 that are completed and 5 to perform. And we will have that listing for you next month.
So
Okay,
that's
and
something that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Eva.
Is there a description or some type of write-up exactly what is considered as part of the neighborhood improvement project that I could receive so that I would be, knowledgeable of what is considered under or could be considered under the neighborhood improvement project?
Yes. Yes, there is. And
Okay.
they had been scaled back quite a while back. I don't know if it was 2019 or before, but then they removed hardscape beautification, like decorative pavements and that sort of thing, and planting areas, and it removed street lighting when they were de-scoped. And some of that may have been as part of what is the ability of the penny to do. That's a eligible project for the use of the penny. And some of it may have been just financial. So we'll get you what it is that they're to do and what they were stated originally to do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Eva, I think in the monthly reports, they do a good job of, describing the NIP projects they are working on. And so there might be an opportunity there to kind of see the type of work that they're doing with some of these other ones. And then, yeah, I think that you're right, though. We need to look at the, scope of the referendum to see if a hardscape item like a speed table or speed hump would be able to be included. But I imagine it would have to be geographically very close to or on one of these streets that are already getting these improvements. Is that right?
Right. And it would make sense if we are like taking care of a crosswalk that,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be out of the realm of things to do. So.
But if it's, a road that doesn't necessarily have a neighborhood improvements project adjacent or on it, then it may be difficult with the referendum to facilitate a speed hump in that area. We'd have to go to Public Works and seek those funds instead for somebody like that.
Right. And so Richland County Public Works handles those on, I'll just say unincorporated areas, whether
Right.
it's county roads or SCDOT roads. No, they wouldn't qualify. These aren't things you put on major arterial roads. And we have to be careful because they hinder emergency services. So when we do the study, it is like making sure there's enough traffic, but not too much traffic. It's got to fit into a realm of possibilities to design those into a neighborhood. But a lot of residential neighborhoods fit that. And the other thing that might come into play is if one of these neighborhood improvement projects is in the city outside of we would, have to go through them as far as if that could be incorporated.
I think that Garner's Ferry, right, you come down towards Rosewood down that hill, really it's a speed hump. Right there. Get the traffic coming down there. It's a little outrageous how fast that
Yes.
goes. But no big roads. All right. So thank you, Eva. Very good. Well, y'all, I guess with that, I'll move into item 7 on our agenda, other business. Our next scheduled meeting is November the 21st. Appreciate y'all being here in person, and welcome anyone else to do the same next time. We'll try to make sure we have agenda packets printed off. I forget about that because I just carry my laptop everywhere, but we'll do that for next time, and would welcome anyone else to join us as well. And then on our TPAC membership update, do want to welcome Chris Kiefer. Thanks for joining us today. Again, Frank, you may remember Chris being on the line years ago. So it's great to have you back. And please, if you're able to join us in person next time, it'd be great to welcome you here in person as well. Thank you. Very good. Well, y'all, since we have a quorum, I get to accept motions to adjourn now. Would anyone like to get out of here and call it a Monday?
Go ahead. Second.
So moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes. Very good. Thank you all very much. Have a great month. We'll talk next month. Please reach out if you have anything in between now and then. Thank y'all.
Okay, bye.
Appreciate y'all being here.
But we were in the
Yeah, we was in the
main room
conference room.
here,